EO here, coming to you live from nowhere, bringing you the next installment of my movie review series. This morning I went and saw Kick-Ass 2. I just didn't have the energy to go see it in the midnight release this time. That being said, it was very much like I thought it would be. Before I begin going into any great detail, I'm gonna have to warn people that are beginning to listen to this that massive spoilers. Spoiler alert. So stop here if you haven't seen it. If you're interested in seeing it, if you don't care, you don't mind, feel free to listen. But there's your warning. All right, moving on. As I was saying, it was exactly like I thought it would probably be. It, in general, is not quite as flashy, not quite as, I don't want to say entertaining, but not quite as substantial as the first one. Not as much depth, not as much intrigue, just not as much of really anything. Although a few things did still stand out, and it still was a good movie, and I enjoyed it. I guess I'll start in on how I started the Elysium review. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is the second review in my installments for movie reviews. I'm going to try to cover kind of a wide range of movies. Granted, there'll be ones that I want to see because, occasionally I may go to one that I might hate, but I can usually find something redeeming in about every movie, with the exception of World War Z and Twilight, which I was forced to watch almost at gunpoint. But this review is about Kick-Ass 2, so let's get back to that. Starting out with the cast. This movie has so many stars in it. I use the term star loosely. Familiar faces is probably a better term for that. Let's, I guess, start out with Kick-Ass himself, Aaron Taylor Johnson. I guess, he's good, I guess. I mean, I haven't seen him in a lot of movies. He was excellent in Savages. Taylor Kitsch alongside him, they worked very well together. I was fortunate enough to read the book by Don Winslow for Savages before I watched the movie, so I did kind of know generally what it was about, and wondered how they would do. Another movie that you do want to check out if you are a fan of Don Winslow or just a fan of action movies. It's a pretty solid flick. But getting back to Aaron Taylor Johnson, the first Kick-Ass, he comes across as charismatic and likable. The first movie, for a protagonist, he's very likable, and especially with limited screen experience, as to my knowledge anyway. Yeah, I'm not the biggest wealth of knowledge on Aaron Johnson, but he's good in Kick-Ass 2 as well. He has grown, not only, the movie takes place a couple years later, but not only in the movie role, but in his acting ability. I thought he was pretty solid in this. I don't know if he had a strong enough performance to keep the movie from being stolen away from him by several supporting characters, but that could just be bad writing, too. Because this movie, if it suffers from anything, it is not, I don't want to say bad screenwriters because, I write, and being judgmental, I'll say, the screenwriters kind of screwed the pooch on this one just a little bit, in certain spots. In his character especially. He doesn't have a lot of standout moments in this. Although he does perform, as well as he did in the first one. I'll get into more of that later. But right now we'll move on to Chloe Grace Moritz, who plays Hit Girl. Hit Girl is a kind of character that is, well, I mean, to say something everybody else knows, is very original in the sense that um, the MPAA, I mean, and her father, whoever this man is, allows her to really explore her territory as far as profanity goes. The same can be said of the first movie and this movie. Um, and she is completely adorable saying it. It is hilarious, and it is probably the most, um, oh, I don't want to say most interesting, but the most prominent part of this movie, as far as standout performance, is definitely hers. Um, she's fantastic in the role. Apparently, she is signed on, and the movie may be filmed now. They've been releasing the trailers to play Carrie in Stephen King's Carrie reboot they're doing. The movie looks actually very, very good, and this girl is a great actress for her age. She has a quite the screen presence, and she's fun to watch in general. And I don't know how in depth she gets in the fight scenes, but if she does half of that stuff she does in the movie, then wow, I'm seriously impressed. Moving on to Christopher Mintz Place, I want to say. I may mispronounce that, so don't trust me on that one. He's good. Again, he's one of those kids that in every movie I see him in, I kind of go, yeah, I'm interested. You've hooked me. That being said, in this movie, he really doesn't get a lot to do. I mean, he's a central role. I mean, he's the central antagonist, but does not have a lot to do. The writers really didn't give him a lot of good lines. He doesn't have a lot of action in the sense that he doesn't take a lot of action himself. It's all him behind the scenes, which I guess is rather stereotypical to some supervillains in the sense that, you know, they have their henchmen do their dirty work and everything. But you know, that aside, he's pretty solid. I would have liked to see him, you know, interaction with him and Kick-Ass a little more in the movie, considering they are the polar opposite of each other. Moving on, Morris Chestnut, who plays Nicolas Cage's partner. That the name escapes me for some reason. Marcus, there it is. Marcus popped in there. I don't know why they had Morris Chestnut play this part. He's good. I like Morris Chestnut. He's a very underrated actor. But I don't know why they did not have the original guy. Pardon my misknowledge here. I don't know the man's name, but I thought he was perfectly fine in the role. I don't know why you would replace him. Especially, I mean, on a budget, Morris Chestnut probably brings a little bit more of a salary into the game than this last actor who played him, who did just fine. He does have a bigger part in this movie, which is, I'm guessing, the reason the studio decided to go with a little more prominent actor. That being said, it wasn't broke. Why fix it? But it's a small gripe. There is a very small Chuck Liddell cameo in here that is hilarious, and he's great. He's fantastic. He doesn't have anything too technical to do, but he is he's good. It's a fun part in the flick. Another very small role of Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who plays the motherfucker, as I didn't say earlier. Also, anybody below whatever age limit for cursing, don't watch this. I will not be responsible for polluting your mind. Side note. But getting back to a very small part of Plasse's uncle in this movie. He goes and visits him in prison, and it is Ian Glenn from Game of Thrones who plays, I want to say, Jory of Monmouth, the side night of Daenerys Stormborn. Um, I'm way behind on my Game of Thrones, so bear with me. Moving on to the last two actors on my list. Jim Carrey. Oh boy, where do I start? Everyone's heard Carrey's mental breakdown surrounding the themes in this movie and the violence, so to speak. I don't really, I don't really have anything to say about that. They're his thoughts, his epiphany, whatever you want to say. But that being said, he is good in this role. He's good as Colonel Stars and Stripes. He is the Nicolas Cage character, the Nicolas Cage motif, I would say, the Big Daddy motif. He serves to, as a mentor, really, in a small capacity, not really imparting too much wisdom, so much as a facet for all the heroes to come together. Kind of serves as the delivery system for all of the other heroes to amass into a sort of Justice League, or Justice Forever, as they call it in the movie. That being said, his death is definitely the part in which the writers go, wow, we need another part that can unnerve audiences, like the part, you could say climax, in Kick-Ass, the very first one, where Nicolas Cage is burning in the chair. That scene still haunts me in a good way. That is amazing, with the score that is behind it, and just everything. Honestly, Nicolas Cage, whether you like him or hate him, in that role, he owns it. That scene is all him. But getting back to Carrey's scene in this, he is probably the most prominent supporting character, other than one other, which I haven't talked about yet. And they don't give him a lot of character depth, which kind of, it doesn't kill the movie, but when he dies, you don't feel as strongly for him as you want to, and as you probably need to, really, too. But I mean, the scene is good. It's there for a purpose, obviously. But I mean, it definitely doesn't hold the candle to the Nicolas Cage scene. Carrey's good in the role, as I said. But I mean, that's a lot. That's about all that needs to be said there. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Moving on to the last person on my list here is Lindy Booth. Those of you who aren't hardcore movie buffs or nerds or whatever you want to call it as, probably won't recognize this name, though the girl has been in a ton of movies. You could even dub her a scream queen of sorts, appearing in Wrong Turn, Cry Wolf, and a few other horror movies even, I think. I think she did some guest spots on Relic Hunter, that series, too. Though I didn't watch it, I've seen her resume, per se, on IMDb. But this girl may be one of the few women that I've ever seen on screen that can encapsulate the endearing cute and sexy all at the same time. Her character of Night Bitch in this is not fleshed out enough, I don't think. I've read a few other reviews, and there seems to be kind of an agreement among people that her character didn't get a lot of flesh, as far as depth in her role. There is a scene where she helps Kick-Ass and the group save a bunch of women from a prostitution ring. Her backstory is, told, not shown, so not the greatest way to do it. But that her sister was murdered, and so her helping these women out and getting them out alive, I mean, it definitely is there for a purpose. I don't think that it hurts the movie terribly that there's not a lot of depth to her character. She's there to serve as you know, a gateway to Kick-Ass and Dave Lazuski, the alter ego. His, I guess, coming of age in a sense of, you know, getting away from the Lindsay Fonseca's character, which is only in there for a small second. So they're hooking up behind behind everywhere, and she I don't really know why this is in the movie, because I mean we all know why, because Hit Girl's too young, but for there's a whole connection between that, and Lindy's character is just needs to have a little more punch if you're going to make him a romantic interest, or I mean, as romantic as sex in a bathroom stall can get. But that aside, she's very good in the role. It actually took me a second to even recognize her behind her mask, because you don't see her a lot with her mask off, and I finally put my finger on it. But she's good. She's good in there. Two other small characters here that I neglected to mention. John Leguizamo is in here, and he is fantastic. They give him almost a character that really is so static and has nothing to work with. Not a butler, but a bodyguard to Christopher Place's mother. And after his mother meets her demise, he plays kind of the sidekick to Place's villain. And I mean, the script writers did not give him anything to work with, and he owns it. So much so that when he died, I was like, damn. There are no other good villains on this team that they've fleshed out hardly at all. He gets more appeal than any really of the other people that the motherfucker brings in. The last one, Donald Faison, the always likable, always enjoyable Donald Faison as Dr. Gravity. Small part. I thought that they could have taken several of the other characters out in the league and still had a pretty good sized, Justice Forever league, and given Faison more to work with. He's so charismatic in his role, and I loved watching him on screen. He's hilarious. That's all I'm gonna say. As far as plot goes, say what you want. There are critics all over the place that are knocking the plot and everything, and I'm guessing it's probably the director's fault, but if you have to blame someone. But the plot really isn't that bad. It's just kind of misplaced and kind of misses a few beats here and there that are critical. For one, this is not Kick-Ass's story. It does not become Kick-Ass's story until later on in the movie when his father is killed. A la making him like Hit Girl. Oh, she's lost her father too. The movie spends an inordinate amount of time letting Hit Girl try to blend in school and giving up the mantle of Hit Girl, and trying to become popular with the socialites of the high school. The mean girls, as you could say, the women's clique. And I did read a review by a couple, female. I'm not going into misogynistic territory here either. I apologize if any of it comes across that way. Several female reviewers I read it, and they all kind of have the same consensus that the clique of girls in high school that Mindy's trying to infiltrate and are really nice to her, only to, be completely bitchy to her and bring her down. These reviewers were commenting on how stereotypical Mark Miller's, the writer of Kick-Ass, his view of and his portrayal of these women are. And I just goes to say that people inside this clique, not even saying these women that wrote these reviews were in such a clique, but from you have to get outside the box to see this stuff sometimes, and the fact that they are so stereotypically, the mean girls, as I said, it's not stereotypical because it's the truth. I mean, anyone who is looked at a group of girls, I mean, in their own high school experiences, girls can be mean. I mean, 10 times worse than guys, as far as the social clique goes. I mean, you may get your face punched in by a guy, but the women will bring you down in whole other ways. I mean, these girls get nasty to her in this movie, and in general. So, I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration, and I don't think it's ill-timed or ill-written in that sense. Now, that aside, I don't think it's really needed because, you want her to struggle with her identity, yes, but you don't need to have her give up her mantle because at the end, she's not going to. So it's almost ludicrous to even put it in there, or put it in there for less scenes because it starts to diverge and make this movie much more about Hit Girl and her and her alter ego than Kick-Ass. And it does. I don't think it hurts the movie. It just kind of makes the audience go, "I thought this was about Kick-Ass." Oh, okay, well, whatever, and they move on. But the visual effects, the fight scenes, the everything, as far as that goes, are amazing in this movie. If you are a fight scene lover, go see this movie. Fantastic choreography. I don't know who the martial artist, choreographer, and stuntman they had for this movie are, but wow, I was blown away. It's exceptional. Excuse me. There is not as much gunplay in this movie. I will say that. There's a little bit. But that being said, the fight scenes are much more close quarters in this, which goes to show you when you have a bigger budget, it's cheaper to fire a bullet than to choreograph a fight scene. So they must have had a little bigger budget. Let's see. What else I have on my list here? I already talked about the integration into the high school. Going back to the villain side, as I said, there really isn't many charismatic villains in this movie like there is in the first one. Mark Strong in the first one, who plays Chris D'Amico, Christopher Place's character, the motherfucker, Mark Strong plays his father in the first movie. Well, that's where this movie suffers, is it does not have any more strong, charismatic people. Once Leguizamo is killed, then you're out. You have Mother Russia, who is definitely a presence on screen, but other than that, there is really nothing. And that's really where it suffers, because Mark Strong is a tough act to follow. The man is insanely talented, and even insanely funny in the original Kick-Ass. So it does suffer in that. The things that didn't work in this is, like I said, the Hit Girl divergence in the story. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't terribly hurt the movie. One thing I will nitpick on is that the character of Todd, one of Kick-Ass's friends, was played in the first movie by Evan Peters, an actor that you've seen in Never Back Down, was in American Horror Story, the second season, where they were in the asylum. This kid is so talented, and he's so funny, too, in the first Kick-Ass. And they replace him with somebody else. And the only thing that I can think of, the reason they don't have him in here, because he does have a pretty prominent role, actually, as a supporting character. He is in and out of the movie and does play a pivotal part in in um, in the movie, turning essentially giving Chris D'Amico's henchman and him the name of who Kick-Ass is, um, actually kind of by accident. So I don't know why Evan Peters was not, reprising his role in this, but the only thing I can think of is that he was recently signed on to play Quicksilver in the new X-Men Days of Future Past, which I'm excited to see. But it's a small nitpick. Um, Things that other reviewers mentioned, that this was a female standpoint as well. I'm totally going to get flack for misogynistic stuff, even though I'm not trying to be. But going back to the stereotypical thing, there was some very other things that discussed about the female characters and how stereotypically they were, and I don't agree with that at all. You have very strong female characters in here. I mean, they're hypersexualized characters, but in a superhero setting in a movie like this, I mean, they're going to be a little over the top. The movie itself is over the top. But, I mean, other than that, they are strong female characters. You have Mother Russia, who really is, the physical strong character. Like, she's a walking tank. She dismantles cops by the dozens. And, that's as good as an example as any. I mean, well, then you have Hit Girl, who's in the movie is supposed to be 15, high school. I think you can probably consider, she's coming into womanhood. So strong female character. She kicks so much ass in this movie. Even Lindy Booth's character beats some ass in this movie, and isn't really the vulnerable, damsel either. There really aren't any vulnerable damsels in this movie. So, if anything, this movie has some very strong female characters to complement the male ones. Let's see. There's been some talk about the kiss at the end of the movie. One of the more prominent themes in the movie is with Hit Girl trying to integrate herself into high school, is the idea of crushing on the boy band, which they show some boy band which I'd never heard of playing, and Hit Girl, it kind of clicks to her, like, oh wow, I might like boys. And that's really not followed up onto a great deal. She goes on a date with a guy and gets stood up. Bad things ensue. But what I was getting to is there's the kiss at the end of the movie, which has been discussed at length by several reviewers. She kisses Dave. It's her first kiss, she tells him. There's been a lot of, I don't want to say flack, but saying that there's no build-up to her having romantic feelings for Dave. And there's a scene where he has his shirt off, and she kind of does a double take. She looks at him, and it's like, oh, her eyes widen a little. Like, wow, this guy is whatever. That being said, there's that's really the only moment. There's people talking about saying that there's no build up to the romantic angle for them, when the kiss to me is not romantic at all, because she tells him that she's leaving, and she's also, I mean, they're not that far apart in age, I guess. I mean, he's, I think, a senior, she's a freshman, so plausible. But she's leaving. She's also a girl who has had no childhood, serious developmental issues in that sense, who's leaving to pursue whatever she's going to pursue. So, I mean, I see it as more of a friend kiss. And, I mean, there's certain stuff that does illustrate that. I mean, they're partners. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can draw the conclusion that, yeah, she has the hots for Dave for, 2 seconds and then realize, nah. But, to me, really, it's more of a goodbye kiss. Maybe I'm wrong, but moving on. The soundtrack. I did go into the soundtrack as much in Elysium. Um, all very recognizable score songs, like in the first movie. Several of the same ones. Um, the Kick-Ass theme, as you, and then the theme that's used during the Nicolas Cage scene where he's burning is used again in the movie as well. And the credits song, which I was pleasantly surprised with, did not know who sang it. I had to look it up, but Jessie J has done a song called Hero. I think it's called Hero, if I remember right. That appears in the credits, and it is fantastic. I actually really enjoyed it. It made for a nice cap to the movie. I did not stay for after the credits, although there is a part after the credits that shows D'Amico not being dead, apparently, or surviving his swan dive into the shark tank. Um, so I didn't, like I said, didn't see it, looked it up, found it, figured I'd mention it. For all of you that wonder whether to stay after credits, there's your clue. But other than that, I mean, in closing, it's a pretty solid movie. It doesn't have the dramatic impact, I don't think, that the first Kick-Ass does. It doesn't have the comedic excellence that the first one does either. It's a much more, I mean, I don't want to say it's a much more dramatic movie because, I mean, yeah, there's drama because it's a dark comedy, but it suffers in some parts that the first one didn't, like any good sequel. But I mean, overall, it's an entertaining movie. It has some great things about it. It really does. It does suffer in a few things that you're not going to notice normally until after it, because the fight scenes in this movie, the climax in the movie is actually very good. I was really pleased with it overall. So I mean, I'll leave you with if I were to do my grading on it, I would give it a solid. I'd give it a solid 4 out of 5. I mean, take a full star for the plot errors and a few things here and there, but overall, it's a successful movie that knows what it is, and it's an action comedy, like, and it's a little over the top, but it's a superhero comedy. Like, it's going to be a little over the top. I mean, go back and watch the first one, which I did right after I watched the second one, and the second one will not seem so bad and so unbelievable when you watch the first one. But that's about all I have for it, so I will leave you to go see this movie. Thanks.